Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Canadian Gamers. This time around, Steven's going to be hosting, but as usual, given my big mouth, I'm sure I'll have more than enough to say.
Yes, I hope you do, because we have a lot of subjects to cover today, and the first one I wanted to talk about is considering the Fatal Frame franchise, which is going to get an exclusive game for the Wii U in Japan coming soon, and unfortunately Tenko Koei has absolutely no plans on bringing this stateside. I don't know about you, but if I was Nintendo, I'd make sure that this game would be released in every region, because as we all know, the Wii U right now is desperately in need of exclusive games, and especially something like that which will appeal to a more major audience. So I don't know what you think about this, but this needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you in the sense that I fully agree this should be like a no-brainer, but considering the fact that third parties let's just say what it is, let's call it for what it is, they've pretty much completely abandoned the Wii U at this point. I think you nailed it right on the head in the sense that if Nintendo does not bring this over, no one else is going to. Like, it's basically, it will stay in Japan forever unless Nintendo decides to, like, pull a fast one and surprise everyone and publish it here, or someone like Atlas or Xseed or Nippon Ichi. But even them, like, I'd be very surprised if this makes its way outside Japan, which brings up the other issue, is the fact that the damn Wii U is not region free, so importing it is off the table as well, which is highly annoying.
Yeah, it is, and the exact same thing happened on the Wii, because Tenko Koei also released the Fatal Frame exclusively for the Wii in Japan, but the problem was at that time that the Wii was pretty much a dominant console in North America, so Nintendo didn't really care very much about missing one exclusive or not, but in this exact situation, they really need it, in my opinion. Alright, so moving on, by the time you guys are listening to this, Smash Brothers on 3DS should be out. And as we discussed before in the previous podcast, we're pretty hyped about it. And I wanted to have a nice little discussion with you about what your top 3 most hyped characters, the ones you want to use the most, are. So let's start with in no particular order, let's just start with one character that you're interested in.
Okay, no problem. One of them, what I did was I actually looked over, because I had a good idea of quite a few, but not all of the different characters. So I pulled up a roster sheet, and I'm going to be a traditionalist here. One of them that I'm looking forward to checking out all their movesets and some of the videos and whatnot that I've seen is Samus. I like the fact that it seems to have some nice unique moves, some good long-range attacks, and also not afraid to get up close and personal.
That's pretty cool. Me, I'll start with Luigi. In Smash Brothers Melee, Luigi's pretty much the only character I'd use exclusively. One of the reasons for that is that I thought he had excellent recovery, and in the Smash Melee, one of my biggest problems was always recovery. And I've seen a lot of videos, and from the demos I've played of the new 3DS version, it doesn't seem like recovering is as hard as it was. But still, Luigi always had a lot of powerful attacks, and I really like his movesets. He can't take that much hits, but still, I really enjoyed him as a character in pretty much every Nintendo game, so I can't wait to try my hand at him in the new 3DS game and see what the difference is.
And it's funny because you're going to have a different perspective of it than I will, which is going to be really unique, at least I think so, because you're going to have sort of the veteran sort of perspective, whereas I'm going to be almost like the noob coming in. A lot of fighting experience, but relatively new to this series as a whole. The other character that, I guess you could say my second character, if you will, is a character that you actually mentioned to me when we were texting each other, and that is Little Mac. And the reason for that is some of his movesets look very similar to a traditional fighter, and I'm really curious to see how he plays in relation to all the other characters. I mean, I might, switch it up later, but yeah, I'm actually looking forward to checking out Little Mac.
And I think you'll enjoy him a lot, because from the videos I've seen, he's actually a beast, and he's very, very powerful. He actually has a move. I don't know what you need to do. I think you need to charge up. That it's actually an automatic one-hit KO, so it's pretty reckless. The only thing about him is that he's, as you'd expect, he's not an aerial guy, so you don't want to necessarily attack people in the air, and you don't want to be in the air. But besides that, he seems like a powerful character, and one that, frankly, myself, I'm also curious to check out. Alright, my second character is not really one character in particular. It's just Pokemon has always had a lot of characters in Smash Bros. Since it started, with Pikachu and Jigglypuff always been in each game since. But they're adding 3 new characters in this one, and they're Charizard, Greninja, and Lucario. And all 3 of them, I really, really cannot wait to try them out. Especially Greninja. I've seen, again, I keep mentioning this, but I've been watching a lot of videos, and all of his moves look pretty kick-ass. And Lucario and Charizard are also 2 other characters that I cannot wait to try it out. So, again, and just the fact that there's so many characters that I cannot wait to try out is just another reason why I can't wait for this Friday.
Yeah, and for me, for my top thing, what I wanted to do, it's funny, you sort of stole my thunder there. I want to do the same thing, but with Zelda. I'm really curious to see and sort of contrast, because like I said, I don't really have much experience with this. I want to see the differences between Link, Toon Link, Zelda, and Sheik, just to see like how all these different characters sort of work and feel in my favorite video game franchise of all time. So I'm really looking forward to this myself.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Zelda and Sheik used to be the same character in Melee, and I think it was the same in Brawl, and they separated them for this one, so it's going to be a new mechanic that I can't wait to see. And my number 1 hype character shouldn't be much of a surprise to anyone, but it's Pac-Man. It's one of my favorite iconic gaming characters of all time, and the fact that he's in Smash now is just, I don't know, it's priceless. I can't wait to try him out and just see what all his moves are. I'm not sure if it'll be any good, but I don't care. I know will be one of the characters I use the most, and I'm so happy they included it in this version.
Yeah, you cracked me up with that because of your age. It's funny that you're such a like hardcore Pac-Man fan. It's really funny because it's like you needed to be born like 10 years earlier. Every time you talk about that, I'm like, that's so odd. But yeah, you're right about the character being featured in Smash. That's another one where I'll be very curious to try out. And hey, who knows? Because considering I have very little experience with the series, who knows who I'll actually, sort of stick with. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be really a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, out of 40-something characters, you'll have a lot of choice, that's for sure. And next up, I wanted to talk about something that I'm not really familiar with, and I think you might be. I remember we talked about this. I think this was released in 2008, and it's PlayStation Home. And at the time, we weren't really sure what it was going to be. I thought it was something like a mix between Xbox Live and the Mii's. I think that's what we were talking about back then. And I never actually tried it out since. And Sony just recently announced that it was going to be discontinued, I think on March 31 of 2015. And I thought this was small news because I thought PlayStation Home was actually a commercial failure. But I just read an article, and I don't know who the guy was, but he said that PlayStation Home actually generated millions of dollars for Sony, and at one point there was actually 19 million users. So I guess it's something that's a lot bigger than I thought. And I don't even know what PlayStation Home is, essentially. And I'm pretty sure you have a lot more details about that program. But it's kind of sad to see it gone now, that realizing how much of a bigger thing it was than I thought it was.
Well, I'm not really the right guy to be asking about this, only because I was interested in PlayStation Home as a concept, which originally pitched as, well, you would have this like avatar, sort of like a Mii, I guess, that would be, in this little, almost like a little city, but emphasis on little. And you'd be able to go to like a movie theater with other players. You'd actually be able to watch movies like, let's say I was watching a movie at my house, I'd be able to share that movie with you in, like, this little cinema thing. And anyways, none of, like, there were so many features that were originally conceptually talked about and then never came to fruition because of legalities and, you know, there were a whole bunch of issues. So what it eventually ended up being just was this small little dinky thing where you could purchase clothes for your avatar, and eventually it did open up and they had E3 sections where you could go and check out demos of games, except when I say check out demos, they weren't like playable demos, it was more like trailers and things like that. But I was totally out of it by then. I'm sure you guys that are listening, you can fill us in on some of the stuff that we've missed, maybe some experiences, because yeah, I don't know enough about it, of like how it evolved. I was only like, I don't want to say a member, but I was only really checking it out for the first month, maybe not even, and I was just like, yeah, this is not for me, and I never logged in ever again. So yeah, I don't know. If you say 19 million players and millions of dollars of revenue, wow, that's some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, it's surprising because in my mind this was a complete failure.
Yeah, well, me too. So I don't know.
Well, there you go. It's surprising to know, and let us know if anybody will be missing PlayStation Home. I thought nobody would, but apparently I might be wrong on that. Next up, another game from Temco Koei, Hero Warriors. Have you tried it?
No, sir, I have not. And it's funny you mention it because Ahmed just sent me a Facebook message saying, dude, it's awesome. It's extremely repetitive, but it's awesome. So I will have to. I've been playing something else, though, which we can get to later.
Well, I actually have... I'd say I'd invested about 15 to 20 hours already in Hero Warriors, and I have to honestly say it's utterly fantastic. I never played Dynasty Warriors, so maybe that's why. But it's just, for a Zelda fan, this is a dream come true. It's not actually a Zelda game at all, as we all know, but they incorporate so many Zelda elements into it that it's basically like one of the best game with a Zelda name I've ever played. Simply because usually in a Zelda game you play as Link, and that's pretty much it. In this game, not only can you play as Link, but you can play with obscure characters like Midna or the Goron chief in Ocarina of Time, Darunian or something like that he's called.
Yeah.
And there's like dozens of characters that you can play as, and each of these characters you can level up, you can get them new badges, they all have different weapons that you can use, so when you start a mission you can choose between a weapon and that's it, and both weapons have different play styles. And it kind of has that Destiny element where you need to keep playing missions to get new loot so you can upgrade your characters. Like, it's addictive as hell. And sure, the gameplay is, well, for some it might be repetitive. For me it's not repetitive at all, because each mission you have to beat 3 times. You have to beat on easy, normal, and hard if you want to get 100%. And there's also goodies you need to find in each level. Like, you need to find a heart container and a piece of heart in every level. And sometimes the piece of heart can only be found by a certain character, so you can't necessarily find it with another one. So you need to make sure to play with the level with another character. So there's like lots of strategy in there, and there's also a gold scutula that you need to find in every level. So there's so much to do in this game that I just can't see myself stop playing it at any time soon, and I just fell in love with it. And I thought this would be a game I would play on, like, just play until I beat it, just to beat it and get rid of it and move on. But right now it's like, this is one of my surprises so far of this year, and really caught me off guard, let me tell you.
Yeah, I wish I have time. I told Ahmed I want to check it out, but it's just like Smash. I know what's going to happen. It's the timing of this is crazy because, well, I'm working on like 4 different games right now, so it's gonna, I don't know, we'll see.
Well, maybe you'll be like me, because like you, I wasn't planning on spending much time with Hero Warriors. I was just an afterthought, but it turned out to be like something that I'm gonna push other games aside and play this instead, because it's for a Zelda fan, like, and you're an even bigger Zelda fan than I am, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna feel the same way. Especially since I know you like the kind of games where there's repetition, where you need to get more like loot and stuff like that. That's what I mean, like Destiny and stuff like that. You played like 80 hours of that already, and it's pretty much the same thing over and over. So I'm pretty sure Hero Warriors is right up your alley.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I think, well, you know what? I don't think it's going to be so bad this year. I mean, I'm working on a couple things and whatnot, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I want to check it out, that's for damn sure, but I just hope I have the damn time.
And I know we talk about this a lot, but it's a recurring theme, but I just want to mention it again. Hero Warriors has one thing I want to talk about that I'm not a big fan of, and that's Day 1 DLC. And the reason for that is that there's a DLC pack right now that's 20 freaking bucks. Like, I have no clue what it is. It might be a few extra missions and some new characters, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure this is already in the freaking disc. And there's lots of planned DLC that will just be characters. And characters, like, I like new characters. Like, there's already a lot, but if you're going to charge for characters, like, do it like Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 is going to get DLC that's like 7 months after the game was initially released. So we know, or we assume that it's not on the disc, and that they actually kept working on the game after releasing it. In this case, I'm pretty sure all the content in the DLC is already finished, and they're just hoping to get more money by charging for it after, which I'm not a big fan of.
I love it. It's my personal favorite. No, well, of course. I mean, like you say, we've mentioned this quite a few times already, and I'm always skeptical with this sort of stuff. I'm sure we'll get a few people who will chime in and be like, no, you guys are crazy. When the disc goes gold, there's like a couple months before it comes out. And it's true. I mean, that is true. But day one, $25 DLC, could you not have waited just a bit to release it, to at least give people the illusion that,
Yeah, let them finish the game first and then give them more reason to come back, but...
Exactly, like, I don't know, man. I never understood that, ever.
Next up, I don't know if you're going to have much to say on this, but I'm pretty sure you will. It's an interesting subject. It's something I think about often, and it's the gaming journalism and the gaming community in general. And what I want to talk about is, I think, as gamers, we're not really journalism, but the guys that are, I think we take ourselves, not a bit, but a lot, like, we take ourselves way too seriously sometimes, because we're talking about video games, for Christ's sakes. And the flame wars that ensures, like, just if you watch a video review, like Destiny, for example. Destiny, I think, is a game that's, I don't know why it's so, like, I'm searching for a word here, but it basically separates.
Yeah, it's divisive.
Divisive, exactly. And I had a blast with Destiny, and I stopped playing because of various reasons. And I can see the flaws of this game, but for me, every game has flaws, and it's not that big of a deal. If you like the game, good for you. Just play it, and you don't need to bash someone because they like a certain game, and that's a recurring theme with every single game out there. And just going back on gaming journalism, I've been to one E3, you've been to many, and during the press conferences, we're all journalism, we call ourselves journalism during the press conference, and every time there's an announcement, we go like a bunch of idiots. We clap, we roar, we like jump around and all that. Like, just look at our Final Fantasy 11 reaction video we have on our channel. Imagine yourself, you're at the Parliament, and you're the
they
media,
do that at Parliament.
in the media section, and every time, like, the Prime Minister says something, you go apeshit crazy and you applaud and you... Like, what kind of journalism is that? Like, I just want to say on the record that gaming journalism shouldn't be called that way. I took journalism course in college, and that was a complete failure, but there's an ethic code, and there's absolutely no code in gaming journalism. We just should not take ourselves seriously. We shouldn't even consider it as a form of journalism. It's not. It's entertainment, and that's what it should be, because there's nobody that's neutral. And when it comes to reporting, to journalism, you should be neutral at all times, and you should try to not take what the PR gives you and bottom feed you. You should try to find the flaws and stuff like that. And sometimes we do, but in general, I just find it completely ridiculous how seriously we take ourselves. And I don't know if you see what I'm trying to say right now, but maybe you can chime in and add something to this before I...
Well, first off, I've got to say, if you've ever been to Parliament, it's batshit crazy there, man. Like, all the people, I don't want to say senators, because that's not for us, but whatever, they go batshit crazy.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the media.
But,
that's what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, no, I mean, exactly right. Like, seriously, I think a lot of this has to do with probably the maturity level and the target audience of who we're dealing with here. It's like, it's almost exactly the same as those shows like Entertainment Tonight and stuff like that. That's not serious journalism either, that stuff. That's purposely designed. What's the other one? TMZ, I think it's called. That stuff's all BS. That's paparazzi stuff. You're following stars around purposely because you want to see... you want to see them get in a bar fight. You want to get, and that's all entertainment. That is not real journalism, because there's no journalistic integrity there whatsoever. Now, I mean, we can report. We could be like reporters. We're going to an event and we're reporting on what we see and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this industry, we can take certain elements seriously. I mean, the people who make these games and stuff like that, it is serious. But the whole just market, the way it is right now, it's never going to mature unless like everything changes. The perfect example of that is if you ever watch any of those sort of award shows that are have anything to do with gaming, that's where you'll see the difference between Hollywood and gaming. With the movie industry, everyone takes it very serious. Yeah, you've got your shows that are like TMZ and stuff like that, which are strictly entertainment, and that's it. But when it comes to their own industry, they take it very serious. Yeah, they do jokes, they do this, they do that. But man, it's brutal to watch any gaming-related like award shows, because the jokes and stuff, you're making fun of the people who are actually making the games. And let's be honest, who gets the award for these games? It's always like the game's director or producer, and that's true for movies too. I'm not, let's call it, call it what it is. But it's just, I find there's not enough emphasis on the real men and women who make these games possible, and it's stupid that at this point in the industry that we haven't matured a little bit. But I think the reason why we haven't is because of who our target audience is. I mean, everybody games now. It's not like, some immature person sitting in a closet like going crazy playing games. Everyone games. From like your wife, your husband, your daughter, your son, everyone. Anyone who's played Angry Birds on their iPhone or their Android device is a gamer. And I think it's that, I don't know what exactly it is, but it's just, it's not being taken seriously enough by those that should. Like, if you really wanted to show the gaming industry as it is, don't show it like a bunch of immature idiots all the time, because that's full of crap. I mean, I've been to development studios and I've seen these guys work. Yeah, some of them are, goofy, crazy, whatever, but there's a lot of hardworking men and women involved, and we're talking budgets now in the $200 million range. This is essentially, we're making a Star Wars movie, but in a video game. I mean, it should be treated with respect. That I think, like, just getting back on track to what you're saying about the media, but I think the media itself is doing it purposely to be a TMZ and stuff like that. They know that if they treat this as goofy and not take anything serious or whatever, they're going to get tons of hits. They fan the flame wars, and all the flame wars, like, that's all BS. All of that crap is BS. IGN might have like 100 million viewers. Yeah, like, great, good for them. But there's probably like, what? Like a billion gamers out there? You know what I mean? Like, we only see a fraction of what really is going on. And yeah, I don't consider the media right now for video games, I don't take it serious at all. I take it like it's like an entertainment tonight type show, and that's it.
Yeah, and even like when there's serious issues in the gaming industry, like when we talk about violent video games and whether they should be allowed and stuff like that, and when these goofy governors try to ban the violent video games and all that jazz, like when we cover it, not in the neutral sense, but we cover it and we try to make these people look ridiculous, which they often do. But still, that's not our job. We should try to present both sides. I don't know how we say it, and like we say both sides of the middle in French. I don't know if it's the same.
Well, we say both sides of the argument.
Okay, both sides of the argument that we should try to show, because sometimes, like most of the times, I agree that these people that are trying to ban have ridiculous arguments, but sometimes it's not that clear, and I don't know, it's just. And on the contrary, though, when you go to mainstream media, and when they usually, I don't know where I'm going with that, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I just wish sometimes that we would be a little bit more open, and I guess, I don't know. Help me out.
But I think what you're saying, I hope the message gets across to people, because yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, sometimes it would be nice to have this a little more serious, get both sides of the story. But right now, in terms of the way everything is set up, I don't see that ever happening. I see this as always being a joke, or always, and especially when you talk about reviews and stuff like that, that'll never change. It'll always be a point of view. And I've actually got a review I'm working on, which is for Disney Infinity 2.0. That's a great example of what you just said. You can't be neutral for a game like that, because if you're a kid, you're gonna love this. It'll be like a 50 on 10.
Yeah, but that's
if you're an
what
adult,
I want to say though, reviews. People take reviews so damn seriously.
Yeah, man.
It shouldn't be. It's like everybody will like a game or not, and you shouldn't try to please everybody. And okay, hopefully I didn't forget the flaw that little Jimmy there could not like about this game. No, just I don't know, just. If you like the game, you like the game. I don't know, man. It's just so frustrating with reviews sometimes, how you have to try and please everybody
everyone.
And mention every single element of a freaking game, and that could maybe be a nuisance to somebody. I don't know.
No, exactly. You're absolutely right.
All right, well, next up, and this is something I just found out about, and I don't know how much you'll be in this one, because have you ever been a wrestling fan at any point in your life?
Oh man, many years ago when I was a kid, back when Hulk Hogan was fighting Andre the Giant.
Alright, well, cool. We could maybe have a nice little discussion after this, but I just wanted to talk about every year 2K Games brings out another WWE game, and this year they're going to bring out WWE 2K15, and the big attraction is that if you pre-order the game, you can play as Sting. If you don't know who Sting is, well, I'm pretty sure you do, but he's basically the only huge wrestler that's never been in the WWE, and they recently signed it to a contract, and I don't know if he'll ever make an appearance. I'm pretty sure he'll wrestle at WrestleMania, but whatever. The point is, he'll be in that game. But they've just released new details on the new career mode, and it's sounds fantastic. I haven't played a wrestling game since the Nintendo 64 days, but it's actually makes a lot of sense, because it's a mode in which if you win or lose, it simply doesn't matter. What really matters is the quality of the matches you have, and that is exactly true if you think about real wrestling. It doesn't really matter, because we all know all the outcomes are decided in advance, but it's whether you can entertain that matters. So this is really, really interesting. And another thing is that you won't be able to restart whatsoever, just like in real life. If it goes well, good for you, but if you fuck up at one point, well, that's how it goes. So that's something that I'm really interested in. And it will also incorporate like outside the ring elements like Twitter and stuff like that. And the people in your friends list that have created a wrestler, these wrestlers will actually appear in your career mode. So that's pretty fantastic, and that's something I'm looking forward to. It will be pretty interesting for a simulation wrestling game.
Yeah, man, I haven't played a wrestling game I think since the Super Nintendo or something like that. But what you just said, that actually, that makes a lot of sense. Where would guys like Hulk Hogan and like legendary wrestlers like that, Ric Flair, all those guys, where would they truly be if they couldn't entertain a crowd? Now think of that. Forget about win or lose. Really think about that. And the answer is they would be nowhere. Think of, for every like Hulk Hogan, how many other wrestlers have there been that you don't know their name? They may have done 5 or 6 fights. They may have done 50 fights. And you don't know their name because they just weren't able to sort of like wow the crowd. So that's a very, very interesting concept.
Yeah, and it's funny that you talk about Hulk Hogan so much because as a child he was one of my favorite wrestlers. He still is, but as a technical wrestler, he's one of the worst wrestlers there's ever been in the biz. But the thing he had was charisma, and the fans love it because if you watch his matches, basically all his matches are him getting beat up for the first 10 minutes, and then he hulks up and he wins the game, he wins the match. That's always what happens. And that's funny. And I just wanted to quickly, could you tell me what your favorite match of all time is? It's probably Hogan versus Andre, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was from WrestleMania 2. That was because that was where he did where he body slammed Andre, and that was said to be impossible back in the day. And you can see Andre like helping him so much, but still, it's classic. I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because it was Ultimate Warrior actually did the same thing to Andre the Giant, like I think a year or two before that. But
well, there you go.
Yeah, but me for my like some of my favorite wrestlers like Kurt Angle and stuff like that are way better wrestlers than Hulk Hogan. But two of my favorite matches that I can think on top of my head right now features Hulk Hogan. And the reason for that is, and both of these matches featured not the exact same crowd, but the exact same town. And one thing about wrestling that I always found when I was watching, I used to watch wrestling a lot when I was a teenager, is that the crowd usually has a big influence on the quality of the match. And that's true for these two matches, because I watched a lot, and for some reason, Canadian crowds always were the better ones. New York was also one, but for some reason Pittsburgh, every time there was a Raw in Pittsburgh, the crowd was dead. I don't know if it's still true today, but the crowd was dead back then, and the matches were not horrible, but suffered a lot because of that. But anyway, my two matches are two matches that happened at WrestleMania in Toronto, and both of them feature Hulk Hogan. I don't know if you can guess which ones.
Well, just say the man, because I don't.
Because there's only two possible outcomes. It's Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, which is I think is my second favorite match because it's one of the only matches where Hogan loses clean, and that never happens. And it's also the only main event, I think, in WrestleMania history that featured two faces, and that's just something you don't see often anymore, and that's sad because it's so awesome when the crowd is divided between the two. And I think it was like a 40 or 50 minute match, and that's pretty long for Hogan and Warrior. Both of these guys basically couldn't last long in the ring because they didn't have the ability to make for a good match. And the next one, my favorite one, took me by surprise, and that is basically, I think in my last year or two that I watched wrestling, and it was when Hogan came back to the WWF after they just bought WCW, and he was set to feature to fight The Rock at WrestleMania, I think 18, which was again in Toronto. And back then Hogan was still a heel. He was still with his black NW clothes, and he was still called Hollywood Hogan back then, and The Rock was the clear face. But something really strange happened that night where the crowd actually during the match turned Hulk Hogan into the face. And that's something I've never seen before, and I don't even think WWE was planning on that during the match, and The Rock and Hogan actually really adjusted the match because of that fan reaction, and was just a fantastic match, one of the best matches I've seen. And after that, WWE actually changed their plans with Hogan and actually made him a face, and he actually won the belt after that when he was actually like 55 years old, I think. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, that's one of my favorite matches, and the big reason for that is that the crowd was just so into it that it made the match so memorable.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'll have to check that out. I've never seen that one.
Yeah, you should. It's easily on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure you'll have a blast watching it.
I'm pretty sure
that's
too.
pretty much all I have in my subject. So if you want to add something quickly, go for it. If not, well, I'll let you
wrap up. Well, I just wanted to say one thing about sort of going back almost to what you were saying about journalism and stuff. I like when I write my reviews, because I've been doing this for so long now, I have to be careful of that, because I sound like a robot a lot of times when I write my reviews or stuff, because I'm not even thinking. Like, I don't purposely sit there and go, what's everyone gonna say? But because I've been doing this for so damn long, and I've done so many, I find I just become like an automaton and just, put a bunch of stuff on paper and away I go. But the reason why I was just wanted to touch back on this for just a second is the fact that I'm currently reviewing Disney Infinity 2.0. And when the package arrived, I was going to do an unboxing video, but I decided against that because I'm actually going to be doing a whole whackload of videos. I hope, you see, I don't know what's going to happen, because in this sense, it's not I'm trying to be neutral, I'm trying to entertain you guys on the channel. So I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I guess we'll see how if you guys even like these videos or whatnot. But anyways, as I was playing, I started to be me. So I started seeing all the different flaws, what's annoying me and whatever, and so I start writing, and then I just stopped and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna look at this for the way this game was intended. Disney Infinity was not meant for someone in their 30s, 40s, or 50s to sit down and play and, oh yeah, this is glorious. This is a game that clearly was made for kids. And as a child's game, how can you give this a 5? How can you really give this a 6 or a 7? Truly, this is a game where you play with toys, so kids play with toys, they use their imagination. I don't know about you, but me, when I was a little kid, I would grab my Transformers and my G.I. Joes and my He-Mans, and I would mix and match. I would have, all these different characters together, and I would make these big, elaborate stories. And you can do the exact same thing here with these little figures, and you can mix and match and, create whatever in your head, and then actually bring that into a video game setting where your father, well, not your father, but where their father or mother could build whatever was in their head in the game in this toy box mode, so that they could continue that adventure that they just had with the physical toys and bring that and see it come to life in the video game world. And I just think that is, as a kid, that for me, that would have been probably the coolest thing in the world. Like, I wouldn't even give a damn about Mario, Zelda, nothing, because it's like, you're telling me that I can make games of stuff that I'm thinking in my imagination with the toys that I'm actually physically playing with. And yeah, I don't know, something just changed in me when I played that game over the last couple of days, and I just was like, this is perfect. This is like the perfect child's game. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to review the starter set, and I've got that review is pretty much done. I just want to capture a little bit more footage of the toy box mode, because it really is the best mode of the game. And then what I'm going to do is I got some play sets and some of the figures that are coming in, and these things are so damn nice that I'm actually thinking of putting up a shelf at work and having them all displayed, because I love Marvel characters, and they have this nice sort of anime kind of kiddie fun style to them that I don't know. I think it's they look pretty cool, and I'm planning on doing just a whole bunch of little reviews, micro reviews of the little action figures, the little statuettes, if you want to call them that, and maybe just do like a quick little rotation of the character and then show you them in the game for just a few minutes and talk a little bit about their powers and whatever, and just leave it at that. I don't know if you guys will find this interesting or not. I'll do a couple, and if you get a kick out of it, because they'll be humorous and whatnot, but if you guys get a kick out of it, awesome. And if not, well, then I guess that'll be the end of that. I'll just have a bunch of crap to display.
That's nice. And going back on reviews, I want to talk about Hero Warriors. If I'd be to review it, like now, if you check on Metacritic, I'm sure the game has around a 7.0, 7.5 score, which is pretty good. It's fair. But if personally I would review it, it would get a lot higher score, and people would call me a Nintendo fanboy or a Zelda fanboy and all that. And they'd be right. But is that should I be ashamed of that? Should I play this game and remove myself completely from it when I write the review or when I do the review? That's what I'm saying from keep taking yourself too seriously. It's just a video game. I don't know how reviews should be written anymore, but it's certainly not I could write the review that gives it a 7.0 and name all the flaws and write that, but that wouldn't be me writing it. It'd just be me thinking about what others will think about the game. I don't know if you know what I mean there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's something I want to try to change with our reviews and our video reviews mostly, because that's what we mostly specialized in these days. So we'll see how it goes, but that's the point I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that in my Disney Infinity 2.0 review, and I hope that comes across in some of the retro reviews I do, because I try to show that, I am enjoying a lot of these games and what made these games so special to me. Even back then, to me, a lot of these games did have flaws and whatnot, but that's why, I love talking about Resident Evil. That's one of the main reasons why I like doing reviews of those old Resident Evil games, because I get it. To a lot of people, those tank controls suck. I totally get that. But they didn't to me. That was the way you played the game. That's what people, don't get. I never had a problem with those controls. And so if I'm going to review the original Resident Evil, even today, I will mention the fact that, you could, if you're looking to buy the game or check it out, be warned that a lot of people have had issues with these controls and stuff like that. But hey, guess what? For me, they've never been a problem. And in fact, for a lot of games, I preferred those controls over full analog controls, because it felt that I had too much control and the games just weren't scary. So I think that's it. Can wrap this up. So thanks everyone for checking us out. As always, we have some really cool stuff coming in the pipeline, and we will see you all next week.
All right.
Do